Masi achol. What do you mean you didn't know what I was saying? Masi achol. That's in Mayan, Quechua Mayan, the Mayan language. You know, ever study about the Mayan history of Central America, Native Americans there up into Mexico, which is more Aztec people. But Quechua Mayan it's the way you say good morning. Did you know when the Spanish came, Portuguese too, but most first the Spanish came, and did you know how they overcame the Native Americans that were in Mexico and then going down to Central America? You know, the number one, not warfare and their guns that was advanced to the Native Americans there. What did it was disease. Whole cities, towns were wiped out. Same thing with Native Americans in Texas, Oklahoma. Whole tribes, villages of tribes, not villages, but settlements, were wiped out by smallpox, other disease. They had no resistance, never been around it. That was one of the beautiful things brought over from Europe by the settlers. Well, we're reading in Mark chapter 6, and we're up to verse 46. And Jesus has been ministering, and now it says, after he said goodbye to them in the where he was, he sent the disciples away to Bethsaida. He dismissed the crowd. After he said goodbye to them, he went away to the mountain to pray. Oh, Jesus prayed. What an example. What an inspiration. The Son of God, sinless, had to pray to keep going, have direction, know what to say and do. Well into the night, the boat with the disciples in it was in the middle of the sea, and he was alone, on the land. He saw them straining at the oars because the wind was against them. Very early in the morning, he came toward them. It's literally around the fourth watch of the night, which is 3 to 6 a.m. He came toward them walking on the sea and wanted to pass by them. And when they saw him walking on the sea, they thought it was a ghost, and they cried out, because they all saw him and were terrified. Immediately he spoke with them and said, "Have courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." Then he got into the boat with them, and the wind ceased. They were completely astounded because they had not understood about the loaves and the fishes, the miracle he had done. Instead, their hearts were hardened. Why would Mark say that? Their hearts were hardened. Because they didn't have faith. They saw him feed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Obviously, with Jesus, nothing was impossible and is impossible. So when they saw him walking on the water and then passing by them, they cried out as if he was a ghost. They were terrified. And before he got in the boat, he said, "Have courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." Then he got into the boat and the wind ceased. So what are the lessons from this story? We read of nobody else in the history of the Christian church who ever walked on water. Jesus never, again that we know of, walked on water. So obviously he is superior to all the laws of gravity, water, body density versus the water. He should have sunk. Plus the winds were blowing, and there he is, walking on the very thing they thought might kill them. The problem brought Jesus to them. He saw them struggling at their oars because the wind was against them. And then sometime between 3 and 6 a.m., he comes to them walking on the sea. Oh, there's some good lessons in there. Let's see if we can get them. Number one, Jesus sees what we're struggling with today. That goes for me and you. He saw them struggling. They had left him behind, and he was praying. But when he looked out, he saw, wow, wind against them. Have you ever had days where the wind was against you? Have you ever had months or years? How about a life with the wind against you? And Jesus sees it. And the problem brings him to them. If they were sailing freely and there was no wind against them, he probably wouldn't have come walking on the water. So note today, he sees what we're all going through, and he's coming toward us wanting to help us. Now, let him in the boat. Get him close to you. Notice what happened in this case. When they came in the boat, the wind ceased. That doesn't mean that every time we're walking with the Lord, the wind stops and the problems subside. No, that's not true. Anyone who promises that is deceiving us. In the Christian life, there's much tribulation and problems. It tells us that in the book of Acts. It's through much tribulation we must enter the kingdom of heaven. It is what it is. Es lo que es. But he sees what we're going through, and he's drawing near us. Let him in the boat, because then whether the wind stops or not, you're not going down with Jesus in the boat. No, 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 no. He is so good. Jesus is so good. Do you know him personally? Have you walked with him and found out how faithful he is? If not, ask him to come in your boat, your life, your situation, your marriage, your family. Ask him. Just say, come in. It's too much for us. As they say in Argentina or Latin America, demasiado, too much. Can't handle it, too much. How many too much situations have I faced in life? Sometimes stubborn and stupid, try to get through it myself. But now I know. And guess what? He's just as close as the mention of his name. Just when I'm done with you here and I end, why don't you just close your eyes, whisper his name, say, come in the boat and help me. He will. God bless you.